you saw my shoes. True, true. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shyzalosophy 101. That's right, yeah, it's great to be alive. Here's your host, Shyzabox. Oh, is the show starting? I think we heard the introduction. Oh, that must be everyone who loves us. Oh, giddy up, girl. Whoa, girl. Whoa, girl. Oh, gotta get to work. Thank you. Get out of here. And the horse. You wrote in on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome nuns and all, that's right, priests, preachers, cardinals, rabbis, weirdos with beardos, Alcoholics Anonymous, anyone who accidentally clicked on this, missionaries, I don't know, anyone of consenting age, adulthood. Welcome nuns, welcome all, we've got a fantastic show for you today, and by fantastic, of course, we mean free. That's right, because believe you me, no one wants to pay for this. And you shouldn't. Mainly because we already made the show free. You can't free stamp a free stamp. That's right. Anyhow, lo and behold, Internet, we were thinking to ourselves, we've got so many diamond, platinum sponsor pluses and such now, we might as well do another free show, okay? Now, you might be thinking to yourself, oh God, please don't. Keep those comments to yourself. We saw a hole in the market. We're filling it. That's right. Might be saying to yourself, not well. Damn it, Mom, with the comments. You already berated us at breakfast. Get a real job. You know we don't work, Mom. That's your job. Your second shift starts in 15 minutes. Get the fuck to it before you get fired again. We got to take a nap. We're tired. We're joking, obviously. This is all for philosophical entertainment, and it is all subjective understanding at that of one's leisure and or wish within what one interprets as knowledge, understanding, and or whatever they utilize that of their understanding what knowledge is therewith. It's all subjective, right? It's what one understands. Everyone's their own philosopher. Everyone's their own historian. Everyone can utilize and do that of which they decide to do, utilize, and, attempt to go about their means, their endeavors, or whatever they feel like, within their own realms, means, and accord, okay? Everyone is their own person and is responsible for their own actions. Thusly, this is all for philosophical entertainment, and pertaining to our stream yesterday, we do need to issue an apology. No, we're sorry. We can't be perfect all the time, okay? That's God's job. Hey, K-Money, welcome. We're just telling everyone how it's pretty much our mega sponsor's fault that we're even here today. It's K-Money's fault, really. Him and the big JC, above and beyond metrics of accord and ways and means that they need not embark upon, but muchly shall be utilized to that affordations therewith. Lo and behold, we were thinking to ourselves, we innately need to define some stuff outright. All right? We do cosmological philosophy, and obviously pertaining to our stream yesterday. Sorry about that. Okay? You never know where you're going to go with some thought, theory, form, function, practice, and when you're doing crazy things like such awesome marketing techniques and tactics as the complete utilization and usages therewith, whatever confines come to make things better, obviously, we use everything to its full potential, okay? Now, you might be saying, what? Wacky waving inflatable fleeting arm guy? Awesome. Subscribe. Right? Upvote, heart, love heart, okay? Now, obviously, no, looks like downvotes. That's okay, because believe you me, that of the marketing that was needed to be done was done, okay? Because everything that we do here as cosmological philosophers, yes, thank you for the love hearts, we deserve them. everything we do here, all right, is going to be very, very subjective, all right? We literally were told by the system, all right, that we feel is broken, okay, constantly. We feel education is broken. We feel the tax system's broken. We feel politics is broken. We feel the food agriculture system is broken. We feel that the entire system is broken, okay? Now, we're sorry. We aren't pessimistic in nature, and we aren't inclined to just merely think of all of the negative components that exist in that of what is reality or anyone's perception or realizations thereof. Now, obviously, we don't want to look all too crazy on the internet like all those ridiculous people, right? Cosmological philosophers going out venturing, doing theoretical physics, theoretical science. That of what they said was really awesome in shows like Big Bang Theory that totally wasn't forced down anyone's throat, even though it's awesome. It's fantastic. I enjoyed playing the Uno versions, the Monopoly versions of Big Bang Theory, seeing all of the marketing and merchandising. Oh, what was it? A Bazinga? I believe that was on shirts, and people were even characters for that of Halloween. The show was remarkable. It had some phenomenal writing and some affordations to it that everybody implicitly enjoyed, okay? Well, here's where we're going to hit a little bit of a dynamic with which we ourselves find a problem in how society ventures to view what is acceptable as far as theoretical applications of knowledge, okay? Now, again, keep in mind, this is all subjective, and for philosophical entertainment, utilize that of one's understanding with which they do. Shows like Big Bang Theory were given to the general populace, the general public, and it painted the dynamics of theoretical physics, of the theories behind what is the universe, literally, and that of the entire premise of the show. All right? You had individuals interacting in a form of reality that showcased literally that of reality. Okay? Now, maybe some liberties in the affordations of the metrics and means of the individuals that are in these types of roles, or that are validated by that of traditional standard academics and things of that nature, okay? That's where we need to be very careful in how we proceed with how we linguistically put things, all right? We don't want to look any crazier on the internet than we already do, okay? Psh, sit up. Our other shirt's at the laundromat. When her mom gets home from her second job, she'll probably get it back washed. All right, but, you know, we try and look our best, but we don't want to look crazy on the internet, so let's put on our thinking hats, okay? Obviously, we don't want to look foolish, all right? So, merely, we need to put on our thinking hats so we don't look ridiculous, all right? And let us venture to go forward in being very careful with how we state things, all right? There exists in the world what is acceptable as knowledge, okay? There exists in the entire universe what there is as acceptable knowledge, okay? These are the physics, these are the principles, these are everything within which we operate and exist upon, okay? All of our metrics, theoretically, and for philosophical entertainment, all of our metrics, all right, with which we understand that can be utilized, conceptualized, exist, be possible, they all exist in whatever you want to call it, okay? There's a breakdown in communication among societies, okay? Because when individuals put things like thought that is not inherently backed up by any assertable degree of certainty, when people put forward ideas that are not backed up by any formal form of certainty, we don't even know how we said that. Make sure it's that way. When people are utilizing and putting a bunch of different things into practice and principle and nature, all right, with how they are conceptualizing things, they need to be very, very careful that the passions that can be and that of one's nature, all right, do not overstep that of one's innate ability and or ability to do. All right, if you start squabbling and fighting over an idea versus actually working together over a reality, theoretically, you're not going to fare that well. All right, say there's a thunderstorm outside, you have no shelter, and you are alone in a wilderness with 3 other individuals with whom speak not your language, with whom have not your beliefs, with whom adhere not to that of your systemic knowledge that was ingrained in you and or embedded on you from that of your inception, birth, realization, interpretations thereof, teachings thereto, that of oneself, whatever it wishes to be, okay? You have these components, all right, that everyone brings to the table. Now, you can sit there in that thunderstorm, in the dynamics of the fabric of what is conceptually a not a good time, all right, out in the elements, you know, just willy-nilly with zero form of anything to you except being in yourself and them being in themselves. Group of 5 individuals, all right? You can build that of your structure alone by yourself. You can chop down your own tree. You can carve your own wood. You can do that of everything by yourself, all right? But when that group, when that unity, all right, forms and any entity is able to work together and utilize any, you know, principles, components therewith, you could theoretically build 5 houses faster than you could 1, all right? Set aside any impractical components and things of that nature and work at the actual thing at hand. Shelter is needed. There's a storm overhead. We can work together and make sure everyone's taken care of, or we can squabble and no one gets anything done. Mankind, theoretically, has been squabbling in the realm of everything that could be being done, all right? By having issues and taking issues with what other people think can be done and theoretically what can be done, all right? Who are you to tell someone no when they may very well be able to? I mean, maybe it falls back to that whole judge not lest ye be judged. I don't know. Theoretically, could. But you have all these components, all right, of how society could interact versus how it does, all right? So let's look at the overall kind of grand scheme of thing before we even venture and jump into today's, you know, kind of, I guess, chat, discussion, thought process, ideas, anything that correlates thereto, unless it gets hijacked, overrun, or taken advantage of by other means. All right. So you have everything that can be, that exists, and everything that literally can be. All right? This is reality. This is where we wake up. This is where we interact. This is where we do that of which we do. Now, there's reality. Okay, again, now this is all for philosophical entertainment and one's understanding subjective to that of which is. Okay, because we have our own personal computational validation and proof to that of the metrics, means, and things that we do. Everyone has to utilize that of their own logical understanding to pick and choose where we go one, we go all, okay? Now, we are at wit's ends with society in the realm of their logical thought, or, in our opinion, the lack thereof, okay? Society is enamored with the most redundant, minuscule, blatantly ineffective utilizations of all forms of its entropy, which, you know, just picture entropy and that of our society as money, okay? Cash, literally. People work for it, people utilize it, people spend it, people whatever, ascertain it, people steal it, okay? However it's acquired, all right? Money is the physical representation, then, of what would computationally, mechanically, anything like that, maybe hypothetically be deemed as entropy, all right? It can shift, it can move around, it can accumulate, maybe it results in some runoff, you get some change somewhere, some coins. Maybe that's runoff, okay? Then you have people running around with coins, dropping them. You got Coinstar, which goes back to the system. They get their cut, right? For your convenience. You don't got to roll them all, okay? Everything that can be in reality, everything that exists, that is correct, that is true, okay? Good dear old Shyzabox is good crazy dear old Shyzabox because we implicitly never had a formal physics class ever. Not in high school, not in college, not in anything like that, okay? Now, keep in mind, Shyzabox has a formalized education. Regardless of to what degree, that's debatable, all right? You have your top of the class, you have your bottom of the class, you have your best of the class, you have your class clown of the class, okay? Everyone gets a diploma. How good's your doctor? I don't know, theoretically, okay? You have everything that can be, everything that one understands that is, and that is how you operate. Everyone's been taught physics. Everyone understands things like thermodynamics. They are all true. They are all correct. They all exist in the system they exist in, okay? The system that we live in. Yes, hello. Thank you for the smiley face. All right, everyone's in the reality, everyone's in the system. Again, theoretically, philosophical entertainment, subjective to one's understanding therewith. Okay, we all live in this system. What we did as cosmological philosophers, as free-thinking individuals, everyone lives in this system, we conceptualized and did the mathematics. You live outside of it. Hey, you and us both. And we computationally verified it with fucking math. Okay, we literally are in our own Shyzalosophical Godelian loop, all right? Here's reality everyone lives in. It's broken. Things are not connected. Things are not heir apparent. Things are not discoverable. Things are not interconnected. Things are not interactable. None of the sort, okay? Now, all this reality exists, but remember, we never had a formalized physics class. Therefore, when we come across concepts like constructor theory, and when we come across things like, the time theory or anything like that, and when we come across works with which we see have placated mankind's mind for some time, well, that piques a little mystery in us, okay? We like to do things just the same as anyone else. Hold on, what's that? But dinosaurs made math. Well, dinosaurs absolutely made math if you consider dinosaurs to be that of any ancient and or old entity, but we don't agree with that. We don't believe that dinosaurs made math, all right? We do believe, though, that math exists, okay? Your mind's on fire, help. Well, the only thing that can put your mind out from being on fire is that of your own desire to extinguish what you feel is the fire there within. Placate it with that of the knowledge within which is that of an extinguisher, that of a hose, that of a riverbed, that of a pool with which you may submerge your head and baptize yourself in that of logical thought and reasoning. Right, now, we utilize not the term baptism and that of a theological or religious nature there, but therein, if you claim that your hair is that indeed, or not hair necessarily, but your mind therein, under of which you am baptized, well, good. We're not talking about it in the religious sense. We're talking about it in the sense of a metaphysical component of allowing yourself to extinguish whatever fires in your mind. Good, Jesus is your Savior, Dumbledore. Well, whatever works for you, okay? One's Jesus as a Savior Dumbledore's, another's Jesus of how everyone else views him, okay? Doesn't matter. Everyone loves Harry Potter for the most part, except everyone who doesn't. You have everything that exists in society, everything that exists in nature, everything that exists in the world, okay? Math exists, whether you think dinosaurs did it, whether we think it's already innately there, whether you think it's Jesus Dumbledore, or whether we believe Jesus Christ, or whether anyone believes in his interpretive association with wherever he lay within that of the confines of traditional understanding in the metrics of mankind's mind. It doesn't matter, okay? It's a human concept. Everything that we record is within mostly that of a human concept, unless you are that of a non-human entity and or a sentience of another afforded accreditation there too, with which could be perceived to that of one's being. Okay? Now, sentience as a whole, can it elicit that of a thought? That is, a concept all on its own, and that's obviously a little niche argument to that of it's a human concept. Within what concept are you talking about as that of a human concept? That of Dumbledore, that of Jesus, that of any component thereof? If anything, that's subjective to that of your interpretations, okay? There are many accounts and accreditations that thereof, regardless of interpretations thereof, those accounts and interpretations that necessitate the belief system that inherently there was what exists and is accounted therefore. Okay? Now, irregardless of that, feel free to conceptualize whatever human concept and or subjective thought within which you have. Who's that? Yuval Hasten 6250. Well, Yuval Hasten 6250, we await your response there. Because, tell us, please, what is that of the concept you refer to, because we know not what in your random ones within you say. Dinosaurs made math, is that of the human concept? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But, anyhow, point is that everything exists, and keep in mind, we never had a formal physics class. We never had a formal physics grounded foundation embedded in that of our logical thinking, reasoning, or abilities to do either of which, okay? Doesn't matter if you view or think anything like that, all right? We were able to, in essence, reject almost to a certain degree many components and aspects, all right, utilizing Fiedler to reinterpret Landauer, all right, to the component and degree that Landauer can indeed become disposable logic because it applies to the whole of a broken system, all right? It's not that it's incorrect. It's not that it's wrong. It is correct and very, very good. I mean, hell, it's been, quantum computed and verified this way, that way, the other, okay? Ever since, 1960s, whatever. Doesn't matter, all right? Landauer's logic is complete. It's whole. We never say that it doesn't exist and that in what it exists, and it doesn't apply to wherein that it applies, okay? But it is disposable when within that entire system, you can make an operational, in our form, which we did, because we sealed it and centered it and stuff with the cubo-octahedronal geometries therein, and the literal sealings thereof, the geometric grid aligning lithically with structural foundations. I mean, it's all connected very, very, very extremely well, and anyone is willing to go and audit that of the math, that of the logic, that of the reasoning on the IPFS site, on that of the epistemic papers that we have on the IPFS site, and or that of any of our books with which, of course, keep in mind, those are a little bit more philosophical and theological in nature, obviously, but within where embedded, when you utilize geology as cryptography, what in therein is where information resides. Okay? Point is you can get all that anywhere. We see you got your comments and stuff. We are coming back to you. In fact, hell, let's skip what we're saying. Forget it. It's not important. You're way more important than us, believe you me. All right, aliens who perceive different dimensions must be able to create a language much more comprehensive than math, which is bound by our perception. Well, that's quite a hell of a take, believe you me. I like where you're going, but hold on, let us think this over for just one sec, okay? Let's read your other comments there first to make sure that we're not missing anything of dire importance. We see the next one might very well be the most important thing stated of the day. I'm eating cheese. All right. So obviously, not necessarily. We're going back to your big comment because that was very good. That's one hell of a thought, and we love the hell out of that. Great job. All right. What if I exit all those constraints? Would I become a god? Well, hold that thought. Hey, K-Money, welcome back. Hold on, K-Money. We got to go back to a big comment here, and believe you me, there's a lot to unpack, and then we got to follow up to unpack to one's degree as well. All right. 3 things. Don't tell K-Money to go away. It's because of K-Money, believe it or not. Careful. That's the thing about missing different pieces and parts of information. You know not, Yuval Hasten 6250. K-Money is literally that of the show's Diamond Platinum Plus sponsor. He's kind of in the descripification to the literal show right now. Okay? So be very, very careful when you run your mouth and understand not that of what you say. We learned that the hard way, going around when we started, saying things like we theoretically decoded what Tesla meant by his 369 little challenge to that of the world, even though we come with that of our computational receipts of 1 divided by 7, and say that we look at things alternatively and differently, okay? Theoretically, you can't go around on the internet saying that, hey, we decoded Tesla, everyone's been dinking around looking for 3, 6, and 9 to exist. We look at where it inherently does not. The mere computational formula, very hard to do. Not everyone has a calculator, a TI-85 Graphene Plus $150 model Super Plus. Not everyone has that. So therein, everyone can do 1 divided by 7 if they're ever able to do it, right? The only number without the remainder therein of 369. It's an alternative perspective, an alternative take. Are we right? I don't know. We can't go ask Tesla, but we can have our interpretive, subjective take thereon. Everyone's searching for 369, 369, the correlations there too. Well, we happen to look at it a little differently and saw that maybe it's not looking for it. It's looking for where within it is not. Same thing with the Voynich manuscript, all right? Everyone's going Voynich manuscript, and we ourselves for many a years as well. The 600-year-old mystery, is it, linguistical? Is it linguistical? Where could it tie in? Where could it tie in? The number 1 divided by 7. That's a calculator. We're going back to your big message because it's awesome, believe you me. For real. We just have to get into our alternative take on thermodynamics within which everyone needs to understand on their own metric and accord. We can't force you to see things how we see it logically, okay? But 1 divided by 7 for the Tesla equation, if you're talking about how we theoretically solve Tesla's 369, 1 divided by 7 is the only number without the remainder of 3, 6, and or 9 and that of the remainder, okay? Yeah, no 3, 6, or 9, right? You're not going to have a 3, 1 divided by 7. You do not have 3, 6, and or 9 in that of the answer, okay? So we look for that of where it is not, okay? That's what we're saying. Everyone's looking for where he says, once you understand 369, then you'll understand stuff. Well, we look for where 369 is not, okay? So do we understand it? Maybe not. We could be wrong. It's all subjective to one's interpretation, okay? Same thing with when we go and theoretically go around bold claim cotton on the internet saying maybe we theoretically decoded the Voynich manuscript, 600-year-old document no one can explain. Hey, why do you get to be the one to do it, Shyzabox? I don't know. We could be fucking wrong. But computationally and verifiably from what we've ascertained, we have yet to be proven such. Okay? You need not buy into that of our understanding, all right, of whatever the greater system is within is reality, because we do not understand that. We can't. Okay? We are God. We didn't make it. It exists. Whether you think there's an ancient alien species that could double up on math and make it that of even better than what of inherently nature provides and exists organically, naturally, that elicits that of the geometric amplifications and gain that nature showcases in that of its inherent design and structural realities within which, reminds you, we literally Shah-centered and sealed to that of a geothermal world grid that theoretically the ancients and old architectural merits and design that exist, Giza pyramids, ancient structures, Göbekli Tepe, the Azures Plateau, is an old Atlantis Massif, 92% confirmed via computational metrics, not empirically. Very important. We're getting to your big comment, and we're going there universally, okay? Do you think pyramids belong to humans, bro? Well, the pyramids belong to that of, in essence, whoever can do something with them, okay? How does one claim the pyramid? How does one claim a piece of land with which they are not on, okay? Do the pyramids belong to Egypt because they reside within there with which? I don't know. But I mean, the pyramids, are you asking if the pyramids, are they created by man? Well, that's a whole other topic of conversation. Hold on, we want to get to your big comment from before, because believe you me, it is a awesome comment, for real. We're not even joking, dude. Like, yeah. We just need to outline how our thermodynamics and the perceptions thereof, and especially Landauer, because it's very important, okay? This is where people either turn off immediately and say, Shyzabox is effing crazy, which is fine, doesn't matter, okay? Or they maybe perceptually at least contemplate that it could be, okay? It's one or the other. It is a hard break and logic that is afforded to how mankind operates now. Not that it's incorrect as far as existing and being applicable and practical and being conceptually able to do, but inherently it's doing things causing a lot of entropy, a lot of chaos, a lot of wake of silt runoff, and, dissipation needed abilities to contend with all of the heat that is created. Okay, that ties into the show. All right, but we're going to tie into our utilizations of thermodynamics and how we utilize Fiedler to reinterpret Landauer, which is correct for the entire system, but we create cube-octahedronally with vector equilibrium a manner to operate within what exists, okay? So, therefore, we make what is a closed-loop system. Picture Gödelian loop, okay? Gödel. You have a Gödel system, all right, closed loop, one-to-one, right? No external fact can contradict a closed-looped system. Cannot be done, all right? So, we ourselves, having that of our own Shyzalosophical Gödelian loop, anyone can have it, anyone can utilize one, everyone is their own philosopher, everyone's their own historian, everyone can understand that of which they will, okay? No external fact is going to contradict a closed-loop system. So if we're operating a closed-loop system, we've never had a formalized course in physics, and we are told, no, you cannot do this, but we literally can see, well, yes, we can, because these things exist, all right? We can then reinterpret Landauer, which is correct, and the entire broken system that we're a part of, but we're not operating in. We're operating in our metrics and beliefs. Everybody is. Everybody has their own theological beliefs. Everyone has their own religious beliefs. Everyone has their own historical beliefs. Everyone has every belief that they have. We are no different than that of what our own is. You do not need to agree with our beliefs. You do not need to accept them. You do not need to buy into them. You do not need to resonate with them. Okay, that's the difference. A lot of people conceptually see a closed-loop system, and they picture immediately someone's automatically assuming or asserting that it is that of free energy or that of something that does not, require a foundational metric of direction. Okay? So when we're working in our closed-loop system and we see the logic of Landauer contradicting ours, it becomes disposable logic because we utilize Fiedler, all right, to reinterpret that knowledge, okay? Now, additionally, what makes it very, very hard for people to come to grasps is doing that alone throws out the second law of thermodynamics, okay? You're loopy batshit crazy right off the bat just because everyone ascertains that it's free energy, it's free this, that, the other. But again, it must go somewhere, okay? We're not saying free energy because there is no such thing. No such thing. Ironically, you can get free energy from that of what exists. However, it's not free energy, okay? There is a cost involved. Okay, there is an associative dynamic and measure within which can be coupled, recoupled, decoupled, all right, at will and leisure, okay? The minute that one foundationally stops prioritizing the speed of the erasure of information and begins prioritizing how the nodes connect and the actual structural foundation the minute that everyone in these little subsects of belief systems begin putting those aside, and they're all living in their own little holes, right? The minute they start building little quantum tunnel channels to each other, those are now roads, okay? Those now allow one from one belief system, okay, to maybe view some of another belief system and that of something that correlates or resonates with that of their own belief system, okay? Maybe not always. You might have systems that are closed off and do not allow anyone to go in because, believe you me, understanding that of our system is that of closed. Now, one may access it via quite the dissemination of means, and believe you me, in our computational coding and things of that nature. Again, audit that of what you will at your leisure. We hide not behind the math and hide not behind the science. It's just we reinterpret logic differently from how mankind interprets it now. Okay? Crazy shit. We bring receipts. Okay? We were told no in so many mediums, so many forms, so many functions, and so many fashions of these giant corporate, overworked, misunderstood entities. Mankind is literally operating in a PDF logic right now. The system is over-infatuated with that of every component and aspect of what is happening in reality and nothing pertaining to what necessarily is reality. Okay? So that's all subjective thought there. Let's stop there. Obviously, we reinterpret thermodynamics entirely differently because we use Fiedler to reinterpret Landauer. It becomes thusly disposable logic. Utilize that of your own understanding as it will. Hey, that's, people in academics, people in scientific community, they say, well, you can't get rid of Landauer. We're not getting rid of Landauer. We're using them a little differently. Okay? Believe you me. Same way we let people use us, like when we called Daryl Dixon dibs on being the best of the worst internet celebrity there is. Okay? We're not the best. Every other show you watch, guaranteed to be better. It's our promise to you. You're welcome. All right, we said what we said. We're going back to that giant big comment because it was awesome. Okay. Give a sec. Let's wet our whistle. Okay. Aliens who perceive different dimensions might be able to create a language much more comprehensive than math, which is bound by our perception. Okay? Now, let's unpack what you said. First, aliens who perceive different dimensions. Okay? Now, what do you mean by that? Because us as humans, we perceive different dimensions, and it has been written about, it has been studied, it has been thusly there proven, okay, that we already know different dimensions exist. K-Money asked us about this the other day, okay? Mankind understands different dimensions exist, and literally the works are out there. You can see for yourself. Okay, we personally have as well. We even go a little further than how it's been pushed and add a couple extra tiers of dimensions, which others do as well. Okay? But theoretically, dimension 0, okay, dimension 1, dimension 2, dimension 3, that's where we are, physical reality, right? Dimension 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, right? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, subjective, right, to a certain degree once you hit a certain point. Okay? But the initial understanding and agreement therein is going to be at least from, roughly dimension 0 to that of, dimension 6, 7. Hopefully, at least by now. There is an understanding. So, when you say aliens who perceive different dimensions might be able to create a language, could, theoretically then, because mankind perceives different dimensions as well, be able to do just the same. So you have to clarify that part of the argument. I know that we've missed quite a couple little themes, but we'll get up to the other comments maybe eventually. Okay. Could they create something that is more comprehensive than math, which is bound by our perception? So is math bound by our perception, or is math bound by our interpretation? Because we already, before we dissected this comment, we laid out Math, it can be just like science, okay, as subjective to interpretations therewith, all right? Anyone can use that of geometry to do that of what they wish, all right, to plot something out, map something out, account for an angle, something like that, okay? But not everyone utilizes geometrical means to that of its most potential capabilities and the affordations thereto with which it can conceptually be utilized to achieve greatness, okay? Look at the slope and the slant of the aqueducts, okay, that Romans or whatever bringing water into, you know, their Rome and stuff like that, okay? Look at the aqueducts, the slope and stuff like that, okay? Geometrically, they knew they couldn't have, obviously, an inclined plane that they were going against and bringing water from here. It would never get to the city, okay? So everyone uses geometry, okay, to utilize that of how they will. Not everyone uses geometrical superpositioning with which to do that of better, okay? If you have other means and abilities, okay, within which you could theoretically get someone to load a big tanker truck with water from the source and just bring it down so you didn't have to build an entire structure to do it, and they could just do that periodically at a lesser cost than what would come. I don't know. Maybe there are other ways around it. Okay? Everyone approaches the problems that they see different. They didn't have tanker trucks that would to do that back then, obviously. So is it easier to just, hey, let's make this river continue? We'll just make a fake river, but how can we make a river on air? Okay, well, we're gonna have to build a bridge to the sky here to do it. Okay? Aqueduct system. All right, you're gonna get your foundationally what you need. City outgrew what it needed. It needed more water. Okay? It wasn't enough. Hey, you guys are liking us too much. Back off. Oh, we don't want you to back off. Here, we'll get you more water. Fantastic. So again, conceptually, like something more comprehensive than math, I mean, theoretically, all right, if this is what exists, all right, whether understanding be damned, whether one believes in God, whether one believes in the universe, whether one believes in the Big Bang Theory, whether one believes in any conceptive reality thereof or therewith, it doesn't matter, irrelevant. Believe what you will. If reality exists and we're interacting in it, and we're utilizing that of a metaphysical reality with which to correspondingly interact within that of our physical reality, okay? That's something too earlier and stuff too. I mean, obviously, bygones, forgive and forget, right? Obviously, with K-Money, he took it upon himself to get a physical copy of this. We tell people, do not buy this book, right? You buy this book, you go up here, it's not good. K-Money said you can't tell us what to do the same way that we told interpretations of Landauer. You cannot tell us what to do in that of our closed looped system, okay? No external fact, the sky is blue, will contradict a closed system. A blade of grass, okay? Is this blue? Is this the sky? No, so the sky being blue is not going to contradict that of what inherently it is. Okay? Same way for how we want to, segue, and I know there's a bunch of chatties that we missed, but let's just touch on just a portion of the actual topic of the show, okay? Gain and loss. There's no such thing as free energy. It has to come from somewhere, okay? Or it has to go somewhere. It has to be used in that of where it is created to be used therefore, okay? It's a topological gain that is afforded to the structures inherently placed and embedded on top of the lithical foundation of the, geogrid, okay, the Earth's grid, the world grid. It's a topological existence that we sealed and centered that of the apparatuses that are embedded on the Earth. You say, who do the pyramids, do they belong to man and stuff like that, like as in, created by, and we can talk about that as a separate conversation, though. The pyramids are there. They exist, okay? We can talk about who they belong to. We can talk about who built them. We can talk about how they were utilized or used. But can we agree that they exist? Okay? That's the foundation we want to start on, okay? It's wherein then does the gain from there go? Well, the gain's going to be that of everyone's interpretation on those pyramids existing, and what idea to them existing resonates with those within which they exist for the purposes of the most, okay? If someone has a crazy take that some alien giant one of came down, okay, with a googly-eyed 12 heads and whatever, and literally formed little bricks out of, stone and stuff and built the pyramids, and everyone's looking at this big-ass giant like, oh, dude, what are you doing? He's like, don't bother me with one of his 12 heads while the rest continue doing their work, all right? Whatever. Doesn't matter how they got there. Are they there? Okay? Everything else is going to be subjective. Let's agree on what can be agreed on upon so that we stop squabbling over ideas, over theologies, over premises that we as individuals ourselves do not even understand. Okay? We say one of our more favorite phrases now and stuff like that, one of our little mantras that we go by, all right? Mankind understands knowledge, but can't know knowledge, ever, okay? We can understand knowledge in our closed-loop system, okay? We can research, we can study, we can learn, we can improve, we can expand, we can even resonate with other people's systems as well. Maybe they're like, hey, I dig some of your logic, I dig some of your reasoning, I agree maybe here, I agree maybe there. Well, that's going to conceptually, just like we talked about this in the stream the other day, you throw a little pebble in the pond, okay, that's stagnant water, and then you throw a giant rock, all right, to splash somewhere there in proximity, but just a mere second or so later, okay? The bigger ripples are going to absorb that of the smaller ones, and the smaller ones will inherently elicit a greater gain, okay? No external fact is going to contradict the closed system, okay? The fact that a smaller pebble was placed in understanding before does not negate the fact that a massive splash can be made to be like, whoa! Reversing course humanity, maybe. Maybe stop building data centers, stop understanding dissipation and entropy and heat and exhaust and runoff from a mechanical point of view, and maybe look at it lithically and innately by nature. Okay, that's all we're saying. We're not saying we're right. We're not saying our methodologies are best, but they contradict heavily, all right, for better or worse, that of mankind's current understanding. Okay? We say punk rock middle finger to the second law of thermodynamics. Old plain cotton. Mankind has been operating under the laws of thermodynamics within their understanding for decades and decades, and they are computationally verified to be correct. So then it's it's one of those free energy dudes, okay? No, never claim. There is no free energy. It goes somewhere. It's the geometric gain, topological gain that is elicited within that of the structure inherently, foundationally in itself. Theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, all right? Make sure that thing, all right? That's the difference between a massive system, all right, utilizing what it can versus a smaller system that is closed, utilizing what it knows it can, okay? A massive system, picture the company X and picture our channel here. Give each of them 11 cents to operate and see which one is able to maintain existence for a longer amount of time as far as conceptually, because, believe you me, the structure's there, it can be renamed, reshaped, reformed, okay? But how long will the workers therein work for the 11 cents that you only get once, okay? How many of the, employees will stick around when they no longer receive any paycheck at all. Hey, maybe. Probably not a lot. Now, reverses that. 11 cents here, we don't clown around, goes a long, long, far way, obviously. That's why we make full utilizations therewith. Okay? 11 cents here can be used in a little candy store like a kiddo. Okay? 11 cents here can fund as many episodes as we feel like funding with it. Okay? You know why? Because the show's free. The show exists. Yeah. I mean, it's never going to get better. It kind of just is what it is. Okay? But where that's utilized, where that's used, and how it's used, okay, you're going to have the heat of it. Okay? The 11 cents came from somewhere. It came from hard work, blood, and sweat and tears from somewhere. Okay? Additionally, the hundreds and millions and billions of dollars the trillionaire boy thusly has, whatever, tied up in all the apparatuses, accountings, expenditures thereof, to get to the denominations therewith, whatever. Inherently, the system's so broken that it shows you how big of a construct money inherently is. This motherfucker ain't walking around with $1 trillion in his wallet. Money's a construct, as far as any of that goes, any of the applications therewith and things of that nature, subjectively, for philosophical entertainment. Now, money is entropy, and money is very relevant in that of its usages therewith. Okay, we can be subjective in all of that. All right. Let's double check, make sure that we're not missing anything else. All right, you're in the loop. All right, yeah, that's great. If you resonate with anything, you Val Hasten 6250, that's fantastic. Even if it's not our loop, even if you refer to that of the loop of your own, that of your own belief system, structured dynamically around that of what is important to you, that's what matters. You don't got to buy into our system of beliefs, okay? Our system of beliefs in Shyzalosophy is the living seeking of truth and the philosophical practices thereof, okay? You do it symbiotically with sentience as a whole in any means necessary, okay? You want truth to reign supreme. Stop the bullshit and the lies, okay? That's it. All right, you're in the loop. Fantastic. Knowing all these things, how do I find love? Do I need thermodynamics? Well, one may need and or not need thermodynamics in principle in a variety of understandings therewith, okay? If you want to equate love to thermodynamics, then yeah, you absolutely need to understand the potentiality for how you're looking to seek to find love, okay? Is love free, or do you put a price tag there upon it? Okay, now, you may structurally say that you can put a price tag on love, or that, money can buy love, or something, this, that, the other, but therein there lies what is a subjective understanding of love, okay? Love has been written about poetically, philosophically, historically, for that of quite some time, okay? There was, Aphrodite, the ancient goddess of wisdom and love, all right? Or beauty, I don't know. Whatever, we could be wrong. One of them was the goddess of love, probably. Whatever. Point is that it's going to be a subjective interpretation to what love is. So when you ask, how do you find love? Well, you find love upon understanding what it is you're looking for. Theoretically, for philosophical entertainment. We give no love or personal advice. We give no financial advice. We give no scientific advice within which one does not contemplate the subjective interpretations thereof to their own degree of understandings therewith. When you ask us, how do you find love, it's therein and indeed that you need to understand what love is that you're looking to find, okay? Thermodynamics applies to any component thereof. How much heat, how much entropy, how much willingness are you willing to, put into the desire to find what exists inherently that is free, okay? Now, you can subjectively, of course, argue a variety of means on current metrics of understanding, like maybe you invest in a smell-goody perfume or cologne. Maybe you invest in a new shirt or pair of shoes or pair of pants that you feel will attract that of the opposite desired sex of attraction or attractive, sex desired. Whatever. Modern times, right? Craziness. Yeah. People may be as they be. Whatever. Do what you do, as long as you're not doing bad stuff. Don't be mean, don't be bad, don't be evil. Do good, be good. Everyone can only live to their desired intent of living to the desires they deem to achieve, and or understand, and or learn, and or contemplate, and or be privy to or apportion part thereof. You can't make anyone do what innately they're not going to do. You can't throw an external fact at a closed system and, you know, inadvertently change it. Okay? It's not going to do it. Okay? Saying that this is a blue square isn't going to change the fact that it's a red circle, right? Blue exists, squares exist. The fact that they exist doesn't make this not exist, okay? It's all subjective to interpretation, right? When we're operating in a system here and we reinterpret Landauer using Fedler and the accounts that we do, and when we mathematically map from the Atlantis Mastiff what comes out to be a 92% geothermal efficiency, I mean, you kind of take a step back, right? When you move a metric Kaggle, well, a metric kernel of data on Kaggle, all right, to Web3, you take a step back, right? And you're like, hey, maybe my little reinterpretation of what was never given to me and force-fed to me is doing what it's supposed to do. Maybe it's breaking the pricing algorithms on Amazon.com, not the international ones. Maybe it's doing what it does because it's doing what it does. It's existing, it's being. Dead Book broke the pricing algorithm on Amazon.com. We didn't do it. Don't buy that book. It's trying to trick you. All right, let's see what else we're missing. You knowing all these things. Oh, yeah, no, we already read that one. The universe can never lose energy. Well, there you go. It has to go somewhere. It goes into a geometrical gain, and these are known and afforded and accounted for from directly the universe, and that of the 432 hertz, with which it's debatable, man. That's one of those things people, you know, see 432 hertz out there, and they immediately go, whoa, 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 free energy looking motherfucker. No, 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 no. The energy goes somewhere, and you're entirely right. That's a geometric gain, and nature shows it. Okay, literally. Where's our... Okay, concentricized circles and concentric gain, all right, are heir apparent. We bash this one around in our pockets a good bit, but yeah, you see those little geometric concentric circles? No, your camera sucks. No, whatever. Little concentric circles and things of that nature, all right? Those are afforded through nature organically, inherently, naturally, okay? That's not energy coming from anywhere else, okay? Minerals grow. Where does that power come from? Where does that source come from? Well, it's obviously some sort of type of magnetically induced iron-derived, oxidized something or another, okay? Theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, right? Because you have what inherently exists as natural quantum tunneling, and that of the Earth itself, and that of, think, caves or anything along those lines, okay? But again, you have in structures like stone itself that'll tunnel and make that of its own little caverns and caves and tunneling system to get within which, wherever that energy or power is going, okay? Now, it's when you have that energy that has to go somewhere. It's when you have that concentric gain, all right, that must be accounted for. It's when you have the quantum tunneling that brings that gain to the topological components and aspects within which it needs to exist, okay, theoretically for philosophical entertainment. within which that you will get a complete closed system within is ever powerful enough to do that of exist. Okay? Now, one can look at any stone, one can look at any rock, one can look at anything and subjectively interpret it to exist how that of it will. Is this a natural rock? Well, the rock's natural, but you put a fresh coat of paint on it and then it exists. Okay, that of what inherently exists in nature isn't a natural part of nature. Okay? So when you're using the dissipation of heat, when you're using thermodynamics, when you're accounting for energy losses and means that are not properly utilized to account for a gain, all right, then you are prioritizing the erasure of information over that of its structural alignment. Because believe you me, the information exists naturally. It doesn't matter what coat of paint you put on top of it, all right? Inherently, a very, 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 all right, tiny, small mineral, all right, a very, very tiny, small mineral. This is important too, this little 0.85 millimeter gap-ish like thing that we operate on. Representative, you know, not necessarily to that here, but by that of a little partial barrier gap, all right? You can't just build on a foundation of nothing that exists. There must be a rock-solid foundation within which anyone can build upon, all right? So when you have that of a little gap afforded by nature within which the confines of power can exist and grow, eventually on top of that of a lithical stone foundation, which we centered and sealed, okay? Matters not who the pyramids exist to. We centered them to where they are geographically, utilizing geography as cryptography. Okay? Bold move, Cotton. See how that pays off. It's fucking awesome. Utilizing geology as cryptography. Look at all the ancient carvings and stones and rocks and stuff like that. You can't tell me there's not hidden messages and symbols. They hired that 80-year-old dude to do some bullshit with the G5 network. Putting Egyptian hieroglyphics in that thing or something like that, or so we hear. We could be wrong. Maybe, who cares? Whatever. Keep doing what obviously works. Let's keep those data centers coming to house all this information that exists for free. Ridiculous. You got the partial gap there within which affords the ability for these minerals to grow, for that power to go somewhere, and eventually, if you give it enough time, if you give it enough channeling, if you give it enough energy, guess what? Eventually, you're going to elicit that of the entire mineral growing into that of the capacity of the powerful dynamic of what it very well can representatively be and correlate thereto. Okay? Now, we were talking earlier about how, things like iron reside and, go foundationally, okay? The coloring of iron is there apparent in its breakdown and movement, all right, within that of many minerals and stones, okay? Even that of quartz, you can see little iron residues and breakdowns and things of that nature burned into that of which, okay? Now, obviously, you're going to have energy and heat coming from somewhere to elicit such a burn and or the compression and or sintering of that of stone, okay? Well, where does it come from? Maybe a geothermal, maybe a solar, maybe a insert whatever power source here you wish. Doesn't matter. It's how you utilize what exists, okay? You can either force that of one's bits into unstable states, and you can deal with the ramifications therewith. You can deal with the runoff, the dissipation, the entropy, okay? You can deal with all of that at your leisure. Go to town, knock yourself out. Fucking dumb. Theoretically, for philosophical entertainment. Or, you can view things from an alternative perspective, theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, not empirically validated, okay, but computationally validated, and personally to our degree of understanding, validated there too, with the willingness to accept. We could be wrong, okay? We have to be, okay? We have to be willing to accept the fact we could be wrong, but right now, everything that we showcase, everything that we house, everything that we do points exactly counter to that, okay? What we do, what we have done, what we prioritize as far as works, disseminations, and, techniques, technologies, and things of that nature, and the demos we put forth and forward, all right? The open source Kaggle notebooks, all right? That more and more little forks come there off of, okay? Someone likes our math and logic enough somewhere to actually fork the notebook and continue that of their own researches therewith. It's what we want. The math exists. Use it for that of the greater good and the purposes therewith. Okay? That's why we put Apache 2.0, right? We don't control math the same way that when you say, who controls the pyramids or anything like that, like, well, you can have entities that oversee them. You can have a landmass within which they are said to reside. You can have powers that, dictate the times you can view them, visit them, touch them. Okay? It doesn't matter. But who and do they belong to? I mean, they're giant-ass rocks. They're not in anyone's, backyard. Well, ironically, they're in people's backyard, but, it's the whole city, right? It's a monolithic structure. Megalithic structure. We can sit and argue all day who built them, how they got built, what they were utilized for, but inherently they exist, so let's use that as a foundational metric to build upon, okay? Stop arguing and complaining and griping about that of which matters not, okay? When we migrated and literally moved, all right, that of the metric kernel of data that we had made, created, all right, from Kaggle to Web3, all right, we threw it up, all right, as the IPFS site that it exists therein now, well, and we have transformed it into that of a showcasing funhouse to how Web3 technology can be utilized and used. Literally, you go to our IPFS site, you want a game, you want a demo, you want to go look with a kalimba little demo and play a song and record it, go to town. You want to customize it, you can. You want to go and, pull up one of the screensavers at the bottom, knock yourself out. You want to read our epistemic paper, well, we've got one on there. We've got many, but we've got one on there. Knock yourself out. You want to go watch a little short video? We have put a couple on Web3 to show it can be done. You want to go play with our LimeWire-inspired music player? Knock yourself out. We love it. There are some fantastic themes you can switch between. There's one where a pirate comes by and knocks over the people dancing while you're putting in and listening to your music, okay? Foundationally, it's that of a great time. It's all free, okay? Not paywall. Okay? Utilize that at your leisure, that at your will, that at your wish. Make better, incorporate, do whatever you want. Okay? The only thing that we will ever paywall is that of our, conscious thought. Okay? That's why we sell books. Okay? Now, our books may suck. You tell us every day at breakfast, Mom. Thanks. Don't celebrate that. But foundationally, all right, that's within which resides that of one's consciousness, that of one's thoughts, okay? That's the only thing that reciprocally we'll ever inherently seek out, because the games are free, the demos are free, the codes are free, even inherently the knowledge in any of our literary works is free. And that's why we tell people, do not buy this book, don't buy Delectable, go up there, all right? Don't celebrate that. You don't want to go up there. But you start diving into any other metrics and means of, literary pursuit and endeavors. Okay, it's conscious thought. Nailing kalimba, poetry, you wear one's consciousness on your sleeve when you poetry as can be. Pickled punk philosophy, there's the animosity right there, all right? The necessitating this is the response as to why Delectable was written, okay? It doesn't have to be good for anyone that it's not good for, okay? Read it, don't read it, you don't have to. Okay? Subjective to an interpretive take thereon. We felt slighted. We had some animosity within that of our nature afforded by that of what was elicited by the energy going somewhere. Same thing with the energy going somewhere when we open up a letter that, K-Money got extra taxed. Don't laugh at that. That shit sucks. We got extra taxed. You're going to get extra taxed. No. You disagree with that. Taxes are fine until they hit you. You have these components, all right, and all these aspects, all right, that inevitably conscious thought is the only thing that we'll ever have behind that of a paywall. Any component thereof. Okay? Anything else is free. Anything else exists. All right? That of the metric of a chord afforded to one's ability to engage with that of what they will. It needs to resonate with you. All right? For it to resonate at all. Okay? Don't seek what you don't want. Don't study what you don't desire. Don't do what you don't need done. I guess. I don't know. Do nothing is the Eastern philosophy. It all works out. Don't really do nothing. I mean, you got to account and do whatever for yourself, obviously. Everyone's got to do stuff for something. I don't know. We provide no personal advice. Utilize subjective understanding of that of your own leisure. All right, let's read the rest of these before we miss out on anything. Then we are out of our regular swill at our whistle here, but we will be, probably dipset before too long, theoretically. Now, don't get sad. We'll come back. Might be a little time. All right, where were we? Universe never lose energy. There's never a lost energy changes. Yeah, absolutely energy changes. That's exactly when we look in that of the we don't want to say energy changes. We want to say energy changes and directs, redirects, and, want to be very careful because we, without having formalized that of what can be formalized. With energy never being lost, but changing in its manners and its guided pathways and its directed outputs and its, any derivements thereof, all right? It's how it's channeled that inherently seems to guide and direct the functionalities therewith, okay? Obviously, the little quantum tunneling that can exist theoretically through that of dimensions, okay? Tunneling exists that and defined naturally by nature. So when you look at lithic logic as we utilize it, that of stone, that of foundational understanding, then regardless of how we in our closed Shyzalosophical Godelian loop, okay, that no external fact can contradict, that we have computational and mathematical proof for that of the ceilings there within, all right? Check the Kaggle of the descriptifications. Audit that of the math yourself. We literally sealed that of the entire topological grid, all right? Our topological dissipation is pretty on point. You have these components and aspects, all right, of everything that exists and that of our dynamics, okay, and merely because we reinterpret Landauer utilizing Fiedler, all right, merely because we reinterpret that, it causes a wake of devastation in the broken system because, therein people who have dedicated and know understanding to be what they've dedicated to know as understanding, it's a complete reversal on that. So you either need a hard stop and a hard-coded look at that of PDF logic versus lithic logic, okay? And you either keep building data centers to house every single PDF coming out, every single picture of someone's lunch or dinner or breakfast coming out, every single cloud that's saved moment, memory, video, any kind of file that's ever created, okay? Let's keep making data centers theoretically, all right, to house and maintain all that, going against what nature naturally affords in that of the vector equilibrium within which the cube octahedron provides. Okay? Let's not utilize the geothermal structuring, all right, and the any components within which reside in nature to foundationally work with nature. Let's continually maybe just keep working against it and the forcing, those bits into some unstable states, because why not? Why view things in a post-Organasian environment when you can just try and elicit a nuclear fucking reaction? It's all subjective. It's all how you look at it, okay? We look at the components of what we do differently because we never had a formalized physics foundational knowledge embedded in that of our understanding, okay? So we don't need to interpret things how people were told to interpret them. So when we see you can utilize something like analytical geometry, utilizing geometrical superpositioning to take what can be done, all right, within the confines of everything and find a way to map out a way of doing such, all right, you can utilize that of not prioritizing data erasure, okay, not forcing bits into systems they do not agree with, shouldn't belong in, all right, and that they just create massive runoff heat and dissipation with which need be absorbed somewhere. Okay? The energy's going somewhere. It's the channel and directions thereof. If you prioritize the structure and the components thereof, then you can literally utilize ternary code, ternary script, trinary coding, all right, to conceptually, and as we've shown in that of our literal Kaggle notebooks, all right, computationally verified, not empirically, but empirics be damned at this point. Who controls empirics? Who the fuck is Mr. Empiric in that of the world right now? We would like to talk to Mr. Empiric. Who's in charge of academics right the fuck now? Who is in charge of academics? We would like to talk to academics, please. Who therein is thusly the representative thereof academics. Okay? And therewith then, who is claimeth to be the representative thereof, whether elected via a democratic means or not, in the confines of who thusly gets to decide what academics thusly there is. After that's deductively derived and deduced, let us know when you catch up, because we're 1,000 light years fucking ahead. Okay? You're sitting here reading PDFs of why one person should be better than the other at doing this shit, instead of just working together and getting it done. Work together. Get shit done. Okay? That's right. We works with anybody. Mostly. Obviously. Not Joey's. If it's from Joey, it's a no-y. Joey, disgusting. Gross. If it's from Joey, it's a no-y. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? Team. Together, everyone achieves more. We didn't invent that. Same way we didn't invent Lithic Logic. Same way we didn't create the pyramids. Same way we didn't create Shaw seals, okay? Same way we didn't create the internet. We didn't create Web3. We didn't create 432 hertz to be thusly there in existence. But it's how you use what you know. It's how you use what you're capable of picking up and adapting within that of one's resonantial, okay, geometrical gains, within which gain can elicit gain, and you need not worry yourself with needing to have unused energy. You can have standing energy at that point, okay? You don't need to have the dissipation and the entropy caused, theoretically, for philosophical entertainment, all right? And the heat that is created thereof, with which everything's having to be contended therewith, data centers and heat sinks and things of that nature. Our code runs at a very, very cool, crisp thermal delta, baby. That's how we like it. But remember, regardless of how you view anything, regardless if you've been taught thermodynamics and you say that of the second law of thermodynamics is non-negotiable, thusly so be it. Hey, we say that it is. You say it isn't. I guess we're at an impasse and we look crazy because that of everyone else agrees with that of yourself. That's fine. We'll be crazy old Shyzabox on the internet because it doesn't matter how we're beheld in the eyes of man. Does the shit exist? Can it be done? Can it be utilized? And if you say not, we got proof that it can. So either contradict that proof, which again, no external fact is going to contradict a closed-loop system. Good luck, motherfucker. I don't think people understand quite how this works. Okay? Metaphysics is crazy, all right? Aristotle was extremely smart. St. Thomas Aquinas was very good at taking what Aristotle did and making it percolate into that of the minds of those of whom it did. Okay? Regardless of how one views on it one way or another, all right, you insert any kind of geometrical inceptions of that of the likelihoods or types of teachings of that of Pythagoras themselves or anything like that, you can have some different perspectives and views on things that maybe are a little outside of the box, outside of the loop, outside of the broken system, and can be collected, maintained, and housed as a complete whole, all right, to subjectively placate the minds to where they can just sit around, have a cup of coffee, kick it with anyone who's looking for a place to hang out or have a good time at, all right, and utilize and use every single bit of energy within which feels at its leisure and or desire to be used for the greater betterment, hopefully, and our well-intentionness, okay, to do that of doing good and being good and working within the confines of that of all of mankind as a whole. Look out, Shiz, I gotta take my kiddos to church for some backpacks and school supplies. I'll catch up with you on the next stream, bro. Stay blessed. Stay blessed as well, and believe you me, you take care of them, and you be sure you take care of them first and foremost. You take care of yourself, you take care of everyone that you like and or love more than us. Unlikely, maybe like 6, 7 more people more than us, whatever. You look around, you take care of anyone else who really, really, really super, super needs it, you know, as well, because some people really need help and they need not the means to know how to even ask for it, okay? That's sad. So you look around, you take care of anyone else who really, really needs it, okay? If you look around even further than that and you're having yourselves an okay time and you happen by chance to feel like, you know, visiting the LimeWire-inspired music player, having a good time, or going to the arcade there on the IPFS site, playing some of the free games. Maybe you love Shyzapong or Shyword RNML. Okay, a lot of people end up enjoying that stuff, all right? You can comb the site, have fun. Maybe you go to the little jukebox and throw a quarter in the Cashapp arcade machine, okay? Whatever, you don't have to. If you are not in a position to do that, and you are not in a position to take care of yourself first and foremost, those you love secondly, and those of anyone who needs it lastly, you know, you be sure that you focus on anything, because Shyzabox is very, very blessed and wants for naught, though any means can always be improved upon, any metrics can always be built upon, all right? It's the metrics and the means that we reside in on the same level playing field that makes not any one of man better than any other man. Yeah. Okay? And or woman. And or whatever. Sentience as a whole. Inevitably, when it comes down to that of our logic and reasoning, because believe you me, if sentience exists, which it does, regardless of what shape or form or concept that comes in, you're gonna have interactions with it if you're looking at things from a logical perspective or basis, okay? Here's going to. Whether it's an alien species, whether it's a warring species, whether it's a peaceful species, whether it's anything like that, any entities or entailments thereof that could be construed as what is, aliens, technologies, unfamiliars, whatever. Alternative iterations of biopedic individuals, I don't know, whatever. Reptilians, Watchers, Anunnaki, Giants, Nephilim, whatever. Go to town, insert whatever, even mythological beast here. Where we go one, we go all. So, be careful how you're interacting with folks and things like that nature, because eventually you might tell someone to go away that inherently has a not only foundational home built in the structured foundation that exists, but foundationally is the reasonings there for the existence in itself. So, everyone make use, make do that of what they do good, be good, but, believe you me, keep in mind, we don't want your subscription, we want your money, so downvote this shit out of this, go to Cashapp and give us $1, or go to Amazon.com, search Shyzabox books, and buy one of them. Get off our lawn!